All right, so this one, I don't have any cool slides like everyone else, but this is very much more of an interactive activity. And my goal today with this exercise is to take everything that everyone else has given you, and now I want to give you a tool that you're able to use so that you can take all of these ideas that you're learning here at this conference, at other conferences, in your own education, and now you have a tool that you can use to communicate these ideas really, really well to other people. My entire goal with this talk and one more talk, which I'll be giving at, I think, 2:30, is to teach you how to use this keyword outline exercise that I'm going to show you to speak better and to write better. Now, if I just show you this exercise and don't actually tell you why it's meaningful or how to use it or get you to want to use it, then in my opinion, I've failed my entire job here today. So for the first little bit, we're gonna really focus in on why this is important, how you can use it, and why also it's important to me personally, so that by the end, hopefully all of you guys are just as convinced as I am that this keyword outline exercise is one of the best tools you can have to take other people's ideas, sort them through, and then talk about them, write about them, speak about them fluently to other people. Does that sound good? Is everyone bought in on that? We good to go? All right. Now, before we get started, I'm actually very curious. First off, before we do anything else, does everyone have your notebook out? You're good to go? You've got a pen? Any pens? I'm sure the team can get everyone, because this is going to be something that everyone will need to be practicing and writing on. I want everyone to be engaged. Out of curiosity, how many of you have been taking notes so far? Good-ish. Is anyone confident enough to say if they haven't been taking notes? Let's see. Nope. You guys are liars. All right. So I want to tie this back in. You just heard a really, really good talk about a dystopian society, about different versions of dystopian societies. And I thought it was interesting because as Angel was outlining everything that comes along with a dystopian society, I realized, I kind of grew up in one. Thing is, I grew up in the Mennonite church. Are you guys familiar with the Amish and Mennonites at all? Some of you guys? So for those of you who aren't, it is a very closed, very religious community where almost all information is very carefully controlled. People's behavior is controlled down to the kind of shoes you wear, to the kind of clothes you wear, to the way you do your hair, to what you read and write and think about. And while it's not the same thing as a full government controlling people's decisions, even on a very, very small basis, you can start to see what happens when people's rights are violated by any other person. Growing up in that space, I didn't have access to education. I mean, sure, I learned reading and writing, the basics, the grammar. That was okay. I learned how to cook, clean. Those were really good skills. I didn't get to do many sports because I was a girl and I wore dresses. Those were all controlled. I didn't get to study real history. Just kind of a watered down version that was okay to share with everyone, that didn't make you ask too many questions. I didn't learn anything about government, the good or the bad. I had no idea what went on there. And the thing that got me out of that was my parents, first of all. They were perfectly happy and did an amazing job sacrificing themselves to get us out of there because they wanted a better life for their kids. They wanted us to live free. But education, specifically 2 pieces of education, 2 skills that I think every single one of us, as people who fight for liberty, as people who fight for individual rights, as people who want to change the world, these are skills we absolutely have to be good at and to work on. And here's the thing. I truly believe these skills are accessible to anyone if you have the right tools to work on them and to get better at them. Those 2 skills, anyone want to give a guess? 2 skills that are absolutely essential for communicating about liberty. I'm pretty sure it's simple. Listening, that's a fantastic one. Public speaking is a really good one. Writing. Communication, yeah, that's really good. Anyone else? These are all right along the same lines. 2 of you got it exactly right, and everything else was exactly involved in what we're talking about. The 2 skills that I think are important for anyone as a promoter of liberty, a promoter of education, self-education, someone who really, really wants to have an impact on the world. You have to be good at 2 things, speaking and writing. And it's not just public speaking. I think public speaking is something that if you would like to do, you're perfectly welcome to. Fantastic. Go on stage, get those talks. But not everyone wants to speak publicly. Sometimes, and the people who have the biggest impact on the world around them, sometimes they're the quiet ones who aren't up on stage, but they're the ones having those one-on-one conversations with other people. And they're the ones convincing them of big ideas, and they're the ones giving them a practical application to their own life for the ideas they're talking about. So speaking doesn't involve just public speaking. Writing doesn't just involve writing editorial content for a really big magazine. Writing is the social media posts you put out. Writing is an email you write, a text you write to a friend. Writing is involved in every area of your life, and if you can get good at it, I promise you, you will get a lot better at communicating the ideas that you're very passionate about. Speaking is the same way. You can speak individually. You can speak to a group of people at a conference. You know those people who are always standing around at a conference? Dan Sanchez, I'm looking at you. And there's like always 5 or 6 people around them, and they just seem to draw a crowd. That's a really good person to be. You can use these skills anywhere. I don't care what you want to do with your life or how big you want to go. You don't have to want to be in the public eye at all. But these things are skills that you will want to build, because I promise you, if you want to impact the world for the better, if you want to make a freer society for your country, your home, your city, the world you live in, you're going to need these skills one way or another. So you guys ready to get down to it? Yes. All right, so this first talk is going to focus on the speaking portion. The second talk is going to focus on the writing portion. Here's the cool thing. You can use the same exact tool to get better at both of these skills. That's the beauty of it. It's going to be a very, very stupidly simple exercise. I have seen kids this big, 5 years old, take this keyword outline exercise. If they can't read yet, they have it read to them. You take this keyword outline exercise, do it, and this 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old can summarize a fairly complex idea in their own words, whether in writing and speaking. But it's not just a pre-K or a young kid thing. This works for everyone. That's the real beauty of it. So it's simple enough that a kid can use it, but it's impactful enough that you can use it for whatever you need. And look, I'm going to give you guys the basic overview of this keyword outline exercise today, but if you guys want to come to me later and ask for some more advanced strategies on how to use it in your own writing, especially if you're wanting to grow professionally as a speaker or a writer, come to me and we can talk a little more about advanced techniques. All right. Awesome. All right, so what I want you to do right now, take your workbook. These things are awesome. The design team at FEE is incredible. We're actually going to go right now to page 47. Now, if you guys haven't, how many of you have read this essay by Dan Sanchez before? Just a show of hands. It's the one that he referenced a lot in his talk and is very, very similar to what he just covered today. If you're not there, the reading starts on page 45. But the piece that we're going to be doing the keyword outline on, so I can show you this exercise, is on page 47. All right, you guys all there? Good to go? All right, so now that we're there, and you have a pen, I would either here on page 47, or if you want to do it in your notes or you have somewhere else, get ready to write, because we're going to cover what this keyword outline exercise is, how to use it, and there are going to be a couple simple steps. You guys all ready to write? Okay. First thing you're going to do is take your source text, right? Source text is whatever you're summarizing from. The source text can be an idea that you're wanting to really delve into, or something that you've been having trouble communicating to someone else in the past. The source text could be something like these essays that you're using to figure out how to write a new essay. The source text could just be something that someone said on social media that you're trying to analyze so you can tear them apart later in the comments. Take the source text and number the sentences one by one. You're going to take every sentence has its own line, if possible, and you are going to take so if it's a sentence, it counts as its own line. Let's say there are bullet points in this source text for some reason. That would also probably count as its own line, depending on how long the article is. In that text that you're trying to summarize, the second thing that you're going to do, number 2, is you're going to find 3 words that summarize the meaning of that text you just read, that sentence, that bullet point, in your mind. Only 3 words. Now, what this part of the process forces you to do is sit with every single sentence. Every sentence is a complete idea of its own. And if you can sit still with those and look at the most important words and try to understand what the author or the person speaking was really trying to communicate with that sentence, and then pull those most important pieces of information out, you're going to set yourself up really well for truly understanding that sentence. Now, put a little subnote, a little star, something like that under your second point, because the cool thing about this exercise is that we count symbols and abbreviations and numbers as free space. So if you have a sentence that's really long or really complex for any reason, you can always add in like an equal symbol or a number or an exclamation mark or a question mark or whatever symbols mean things to you to help further communicate that to yourself later. Keep in mind that whether you're speaking from this or whether you're writing from this, you're not going to get to look at the source text at all when you actually rephrase what this person was trying to say. So you want to make sure that with every sentence, you include enough information so you really get what you're trying to summarize. Now, I have seen people take this exact thing and completely put the entire sentence down on the line with 3 words and enough symbols that you can just basically read the exact same sentence from that. The goal here is not plagiarism. The goal here is not to have the entire sentence on the piece of paper that you're doing. The goal is to have the idea summarized, not necessarily on paper, but in your mind. Is that making sense to everyone right now? Are there any questions based on what I've told you so far? All right, good to go. Go ahead. The symbols? All right, so symbols can mean things, right? So if I'm gonna show you one in the next example above, but basically just remember that instead of, let's say you had a sentence that said the number like 200 people survived or something. 200 would be a number that you could put in written out numerically that doesn't count as a word. So you could have as many other words from that sentence still count to your 3-word total. Is that helping a little bit? We can talk about specific symbols I've used in my keyword outlines as well. The fun thing is you can get really creative with this part. But let's definitely talk about that afterward or after the panel. All right. So the third thing you're going to do is once you've got this keyword outline completely done, you're going to put the source text aside. And for today's talk, we're going to use it to speak from. Now, this one might be a little complex. It can be a little difficult and sometimes intimidating if you're writing from such a short amount of words, especially if it's on an idea that you're not totally familiar with. So we're going to push you guys a little bit, and it's also going to push you guys to learn how to use this exercise really, really well. Make sense? All right, so you guys, in just a little bit of time, you're going to have an opportunity to actually practice this exact skill. You're going to create the keyword outline for a short paragraph written by the one and only Ayn Rand, and then you're going to create the keyword outline and then talk to a buddy, talk to a friend here, or multiple friends about it and see how well you can communicate those ideas. Now, you might be thinking, oh yeah, you said it's this tool, it's going to change the world. You told me it'd be simple, but you gave me 3 steps. Like, that's it. Like, really? Is that actually going to make a difference? Well, let's find out. We're about to go into it for sure. But here's the thing. If you've ever had a time where you've had a really big idea that you were so excited to communicate about, or you had a project or a set of skills or a set of thinking that you knew you're pretty much the expert on. All of us have times like that in our life. I'm like, yeah, I know a lot about that thing. And then someone asks you a really, really crazy question that you have absolutely no answer to. And it just bores a hole in your mind because you're like, I thought I knew everything about that, but I don't know how to answer that question. This kind of exercise is so valuable for helping with times like that. For your speaking abilities, what you're gonna focus on with the keyword outline exercise is taking the work that you're reading, taking the idea that you're very excited about, and looking at it from a bird's eye view, then going deep into every single individual idea there, summarizing it, and then putting it into your own words. Now, the best part about this is that plagiarism, having to use ChatGPT or another AI tool to write essays, things like figuring out how to summarize other people's ideas, all of this becomes easy. Because if you have anything that you want to talk about later on or write about on social media, you can use this exact exercise to do that. And I'm going to very quickly go through this on page 46 and 47. While I'm reading through these, I want you guys to be going through this with me. Circle the top 3 words in every sentence that stand out to you as being the 3 most important words in this sentence. So this starts on page 46. It's that last paragraph. By rights, they, the people writing the Declaration of Independence, did not mean government-granted entitlements. That's the first sentence. 3 words in there. I would just circle them right now. Indeed, they would have rejected such entitlements as incompatible with true rights. Circle 3 words. Government can only enforce someone's phony right to welfare, healthcare, education, or internet access by depriving someone else of their genuine rights, either by seizing their earnings or commandeering their labor. This one's going to be a little bit more of a difficult one because it is one very, very long sentence. So this is one that you could use symbols for. All right, sentence 1. Someone throw out, what's the most important word that stuck out to you?
Rights.
Rights, for sure. Entitlements. They. Okay, rights is obviously a really good one, partly because of the quotations right around there. Okay, so when you're using that as a word in your keyword outline, this is another example of a symbol that can mean something, because rights in quotations is a completely different meaning from just the word rights alone. Does that make sense? All right, so you got those quotation marks around it. We had entitlements. Honestly, what I would do is rights, and then I would do the not sign, you know, with the little circle with the slash through it, and then I would write entitlements. That's what I would do for this sentence. It's going to look different for everyone, so if the things that you would choose for these sentences are not what I would choose, thank God. That means we live in a free country. That means that you get to find what's meaningful to you out of each exercise. Correct. You could have 2. The second one, indeed, they would have rejected such entitlements as incompatible with true rights. Throw out 3 words, anyone. Incompatible's big. Truth. Rejected, did I hear? Rejected? I would use rejected, incompatible, and rights personally for this one, but there's so many different ways that you could go about this one. All right, next sentence. Government can only enforce someone's phony right to welfare, healthcare, education, or internet access by depriving someone else of their genuine rights, either by seizing their earnings or commandeering their labor. Now, instead of throwing it out, someone raise their hand and tell me the 3 words that you picked out. Go ahead.
Enforce, depriving, and rights.
Really good. Enforce, depriving, and rights. I got that. Those are big words. Did you do something different?
Yes, I did. I decided to choose phony, depriving, and genuine.
I like phony. That sticks out.
It's an interesting one because it's not normally used because it's a little less, like, it's not big enough, I'd say.
Yeah, it's one of those words that carries deep meaning. Phony and enforce are 2 big words that just carry so much depth. They're very powerful phrases. Anyone else? 3 words? Go ahead.
Welfare, depriving, rights.
Welfare, depriving, rights. Those are all really good ones. Do you see how everyone can have their own output for this exercise? The goal is to find what's meaningful to you more than anything else. And beyond even that, the goal is to find what you can use to be able to explain these ideas to other people. Now, we're almost at time, but we're about to go into another session where you guys are going to be able to use this to summarize a really, really cool passage. So I want to leave you with that reminder that I grew up in a society that was closed, and yet I'm here, and I now have the same opportunity as every one of the rest of you to explore and discover these ideas. And all I can say is, it's always worth it to pursue the things that you're passionate about. It's always worth it to get as good as humanly possible at the things that you want to do. And yes, you can change the world with your ideas, and speaking and writing is one of the things that is going to help you get there. Thank you guys very much.